Today, I thought it was a good idea to go ahead and then talk about, value streams, because if you remember, even in our last session, we kind of talked about business agility, and then we were talking in terms of, the 10th principle that we talked about, right? Where we said, no, it's about organize around value, right? So we kind of felt this might be a good topic to introduce at this particular point in time. Yeah. So today we kind of talk about, is there value in value streams? Okay. And to really look at it, no, this particular event, this particular discussion, or the thing that we are going to have, I have to admit, has been have been inspired by one SPCT, Carl Starendel, who's been doing an amazing work around the concept of value streams, right? And this entire discussion is completely inspired by his meetups that he has done before. Okay, so coming to this discussion, right? So we have all heard of value streams, right? And how many of you in here have heard the term value stream mapping? Anybody here familiar with the term value stream mapping? Okay, I see 1, 2 people. Okay. So others, I'm assuming, no, we are new to the term value stream mapping as well, which is
Access to be
um, hey, sorry.
no value stream mapping is actually portraying about the current system's access to where the system is likely to be.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, yeah. So, so
Nothing
just as
value stream map means nothing but reducing the wait time, reducing wastages, reducing the excess process, kind of wherein you use all the 7 concepts of lean to reduce and streamline the process.
Okay, okay, fair, right? So, so as a as a context setting, right? We have quite a few people have already heard the concept of value stream mapping, right? But then today, the things that we are really going to go talk about is about value stream identification, right? So what we are going to do is, the value stream identification is the step which in my mind precedes the value stream mapping concept, right? So value stream mapping is a very powerful tool. And as we just heard, no, we all understand the value in it. But then even before we get to mapping value streams, you need to see the value stream first, right? Because if you cannot see it, how do you optimize it, right? So, or how you get value out of it. So this is what we are going to talk about. We are focused primarily on value stream identification. Okay. So when you're talking about value stream identification, yeah, so this is the credit that I was wanting to give. Carl Starendel, NSPCT. This is just about me, right? So let's start off by defining, what is value, right? So all of us are doing work, right? There are many different situations where businesses are creating value for your customers, right? So when you talk about value, even before we get into the value stream concept, I think the first thing that we really need to do is define what is value, right? So here we are going to go take a simple example to start off with, right? I'm hoping a situation which many of us are already familiar with, which is hiring a new employee or hiring a new team member, right? So let's think about this end-to-end situation where um, possibly we've got new budgets and then we have decided to hire one more team member into our team, or we are trying to replace an existing rank, right? So in which case, how do we go about doing this, right? So possibly the first step that we would see is hiring manager raises a request, right? Now that we know that we are going to go hire a particular new team member, we go ahead and hire the raise a request, right? So once you have raised a request, what is the next thing that we do? Next step is, go ahead and get the approval, right? You kickstart the approval process, right? Going ahead and saying, okay, this is the particular role that we have going to hire. This is the kind of salary that we have thought about, and all the requisite uh, aspect, right? So once you go through the approval process, then both your requirement and your budget needs to get approved, right? So that's where the approval process goes through, and then finally you get the consent, right? So once you get the consent, what do we do? The request is raised to the recruitment team, right? Chances are, if you're a very big organization, you have a completely separate team which is handling recruitment. Smaller organizations, possibly the HR team themselves try and manage the recruitment aspect, right? So then the workflow moves to saying, okay, there is a new request for this particular business unit, this particular team, right? We are going to go hire a particular or for a particular role, right? And all the details, including the budget, everything is available, right? So once this happens, what is the next step? The recruitment team gets into action, right? They start doing the resume sourcing and also the shortlisting part, right? So first level of filtering and all that stuff is done by the recruitment team. Once the recruitment team has done with this, possibly they set up the technical interviews, right? You have to go through the tech interviews too before you get the hire, right? Once you go through multiple rounds of tech interviews, what are we going to do? Offer approval and release, right? Offer. So we have identified the right candidate. No, he's also willing to join us. So we come up with the offer. No, it goes through an approval process, right? And once the offer has been approved, we send it to the no the candidate, right? And then we wait for the offer acceptance. Right, the candidate has to accept the offer. Once the candidate has accepted the offer, what do we do? No, we get in touch with the vendor who does the background verifications, right? So you collect all the documents from the candidate and then you send it out for background verification, right? At the same time, or possibly after this, you might move on to the next step, wherein the infrastructure team is intimated saying that, okay, now we are going to have a new candidate coming in for this particular business unit and this team, for which we need a laptop, and you might also have to set up the mail ID for that particular candidate, right? Once this is done, the facilities teams are also getting involved, right? You need to figure out where the seat allocation happens. Possibly you might have to rearrange, something has to happen. So facilities team also needs to be intimated about what needs to get done, right? So once the facilities has identified the seat allocation and all that stuff, what do? We let the security team know, right? Why? The security needs to create a access card and all that stuff, so that the candidate, once he comes in, he is able to move around the office space easily, right? So that's the security team does. Once this is ready, what happens? Now you have the HR team coming in for the onboarding aspects, right? There are a few other things that needs to go on. So for all the onboarding activities, the HR team, the flow comes to the HR team, right? And once the onboarding is kind of done, what do we do? Then we involve the L&D team, right? Why? Because possibly there are mandatory trainings, right? It could be even from about what are the value systems that the organization has, the ethics and all that stuff is taken care of by the learning and development team. Once all of these things have happened, what happens? The particular employee gets deployed, or the new hire gets deployed into the teams, right? So what are we seeing here? No, even though when we think in terms of saying hiring a new team member, right? Um, no, these are the multiple steps that gets involved, right? But not necessarily something that we always visualize, right? So this is just a simple activity that I showed you, right? So this is how the value, because what is the value in this particular case? The value is realized when that particular new hire is actually deployed to the team and then he starts contributing to it, right? So in order for the requesting manager or the hiring manager to get value, it has to flow through so many different steps, right? And then that particular person gets deployed to the team, and then the hiring manager starts getting value out of it, right? So representing this slightly differently, right? So this is what is going on, right? The hiring manager raises a request, then it goes through multiple different activities till the team member is getting deployed on the team. And the hiring manager raising the request is actually a trigger for this entire workflow to happen, right? So hiring manager raising the request is the trigger, and the team member getting deployed to the team and then contributing to the work the team does is where you start realizing the value, right? So between the trigger and the actual value generation, right, all these steps, all the activities that we are going through, right, this is what we refer to as the value stream. Okay, so this is what we are going to consider as the value stream. Okay, so I just took a very simple use case so that it kind of helps us to map the concepts, right? Hiring is something that I'm sure, irrespective of your domain, irrespective of the organization size, is something that we all do and we can relate to, right? So once now that we kind of have a high level understanding of what a value stream look likes and how you identify from a trigger till the value is actually delivered, all the activities that we are going through, right? So this is what we have referred to as the value stream. Now let's take a look at the real business use cases, right? When you're talking about the business use cases, right, here this is a banking example, right, wherein there is a particular person where we are saying we have a new thing, which is we are going to give loans to our customers, right? So whenever there is a person who needs a loan, right, as a bank, what is the first thing that we need to do? We need to attract the customer to our bank, right? Possibly give him a quick rate quote, right? Ask him to complete the loan application. Then you go through the eligibility, right? Eligibility decisions and underwriting, right? You need to figure out, is this particular person eligible enough to get the loan that he has asked for, right? And then you go through the entire underwriting procedure, and then you kind of understand what is the rate of interest that we are giving, how long can we give the loan to this particular person, based on the age, amount, and all that stuff, right? So all of those things happen. Once it is done, you extend the loan terms to the customer. He needs to accept it. Once it is done, you award the loan, right? Set up payment terms. The customer starts repaying the money, right? And once the loan gets closed, right, wherein the bank gets a repayment plus the interest that we have done, right, is one end-to-end activities that we do, which is also called as there's also a business value stream, right? And if you're looking at it from a healthcare domain, right, possibly somebody who falls sick, right, comes to the hospital, right? The moment he comes to the hospital, you kickstart the intake process, right? And then you do the RN triage, wherein you're trying to see, is he, how badly is he injured? Is he breathing? Is he not? Right? All of those stuff happens. Sorry. Um, right? And then you conduct a lot of exams and all that stuff, examination, x-rays, possibly all that, possibly admit the person into the hospital, right? Then you will have multiple healthcare workers, doctors, the nurses, everybody attending as part of the rounds and all that stuff till that person gets well, right? Once the person gets well, you initiate the discharge process, right? From the discharge process, now you come to the billing, and once the payment has been done, the hospital has actually got the value, right? So these are how we actually need to start looking at, or all the activities or all the steps that needs to happen from the trigger, right? Here the trigger could be the need for a loan particular customer, and what is the value that you're going to look at? The repayment plus interest, right? Healthcare, what is the trigger you're talking about? People, somebody falling sick or met with an accident, coming to the hospital, triggers the entire stuff till he gets discharged and he's able to go back, right? So this is how we start looking at our value streams. Yeah. So when this is when you're looking at these value streams, now that we have a kind of an understanding about the value streams. Now, the question that I have for you is like, you go to say, let's say, automobile shop floor or any manufacturing organization. You go to the shop floor, and then when you ask people, okay, where is the value stream, right? Let's assume we have walked into a Maruti, factory, right? You go and ask them where is the value stream, right? Chances are they might be able to show you saying like, okay, you see that particular conveyor belt on that end, right? That's where the Alto value stream is, right? Next to that could be, we're talking about the Swift value stream, right? Possibly the Baleno value stream and all that stuff. Why? No, and this is very clear when you're talking about from a manufacturing perspective, right? Why? Because there's one conveyor belt at the end of at one of its end, right? When there is an order, when the order comes in, right? That's the trigger. It goes through multiple steps, right? It could be starting with the engine, the chassis, the body parts, the interiors, the electrical, no, all of that stuff it goes through. And at the other end, you're actually having the completely built car coming in, right? So it's so much more easier to visualize value stream in such cases, right? The steps that needs to occur, which is repeatable possibly, no, but mandatorily needs to happen before the value can be delivered to your customer. Yeah, so it's so much more easier to visualize it when you're talking from a manufacturing, domain. But now, if you had to ask the same question, you walk into, say, any kind of a business that is driven by digital. Let's take a bank, right? You go to the teams and then you ask them, okay, where is the value stream, right? What do we see? People struggle to point to one location. It's not like, okay, no, that thing that you see there is your value stream or any of those stuff, right? So why is it so difficult, right, when we usually come to a digital business, for us to be able to visualize the value stream, right? So even before we are getting into talking about the value streams, we really need to figure out, where as an organization we are today. Yeah. So what I'm going to do next is, I'm just going to go ahead and then show you one quick video. Yeah, I'm sure all of us know John Cotter, right? The change management guru, right? And this particular video, which is about evolution of the 21st century organization. So it's a quick 5-6 minute video. He kind of helps us understand how the organizations evolved and the problems that we have run into, right? So let's quickly watch this video. We will come back and then we'll try and see how is it that we can relate what we are seeing in this particular video back to the organizations part that we are talking about, to try and figure out why is it so difficult for us to kind of figure out why is the struggle between identifying the value stream, especially when you're talking from a digital business. Yeah. So I'm just going to go share my browser.
Here to talk to you about winning in a faster and faster moving world. A world where more threats are coming at us from all kinds of different unpredictable directions, but also in which there are more windows of opportunity, opening and closing faster than ever. I am convinced that we've crossed a line in which the old methods that we've used to deal with this no longer work. And I want to talk to you briefly about what seems to work in this faster and faster moving world. To understand this, I found you need to understand how organizations naturally evolve over time and how that has gotten us to where we are now. All organizations start with a structure that kind of looks like a dynamic solar system or a molecule. Their advantage is that they can be very, very fast, very agile. They can run around existing competition. They start with a set of entrepreneurs. It doesn't matter if they're trying to make a new type of microchip or a new type of chocolate chip cookie. They attract people who work on various initiatives. It could be anything, playing around with crazy ideas, talking to customers, doing things with alloys. And they can drop those initiatives and start new ones. If they're successful, though, they have to be able to make and ship a product or deliver a service. And as soon as that happens, you start to see growing something that we would recognize. It looks more like a hierarchy. It has jobs, it has processes. And if they continue to be successful, of course, it's that part that has to grow. And it grows. And for a brief time, you've got both systems that tend to be hooked together well because of the entrepreneurs who play a part in both. And sometimes the old timers that have jobs over at one side and they're still in that entrepreneurial system. But as successful as they are, you know what part grows, and it grows. And at a certain point, it doesn't like the old entrepreneurial, unpredictable, whipping around system. And so it systematically eliminates it. And you end up with what we all know, a typical modern organization. Now, in a slow enough moving world, that can work fine, and it does. But as the world starts to speed up, it doesn't. And so what smart people do is they augment it. They add strategic planning committees. They hire strategic consultants. They put together interdepartmental task forces or project management organizations to first create and then to execute strategies. And if this is done well, it works up to a point. But as the world speeds up more and more, it doesn't. So they continue along this same path. It happens naturally. You add another committee, you add work streams, you add more strategy pieces. And after a while, all of this addition actually slows you down, and the whole thing starts to sink into the muck, which obviously does not win today. It raises the question of what could win today. And actually, you just saw it a minute ago. Now, let's rewind the tape. Okay, start there and go back some more. Now stop. There it is. Something that can be reliable and efficient now and can be fast and agile in helping you maneuver through this faster moving environment. It creates more wealth, better products and services, a terrific place to work, and perhaps most importantly, profitable growth. That raises the logical question of, can you create that and get those results? And the answer is yes, we've proven it. A set of processes and procedures and methods can take you from wherever you're at, and you start growing that entrepreneurial piece from the center on out in an organic way. You keep the two pieces connected in a very solid way, and you end up with this mechanism that can be both reliable, efficient, fast, and agile, and win today. Here's the bad news. How many organizations have succeeded in doing that? About 0.001%. Really, seriously. Here's the good news. It doesn't have to be that way. It doesn't. You can change. You can create what's needed. And when is the time to do that? No question. It's now. So, if you want to learn more.
Okay. So that was John Carter, helping us understand, the state that the organizations got into, and also on how is it that we can kind of reinvent ourselves, right? So this is where the thing starts off. Yeah. So now let's look at it, right? So from what we've understood, right, this is how the organizations are structured today, right? And when you're talking about the organization structured in this particular format, yeah, what are we talking about, right? When you go into an organization and then when you ask people there, right? So now, folks, what are you guys working on, right? What is the usual answer that we get, right? Possibly, see, I'm a developer and I write code for this particular project, or I'm a tester, I'm testing this particular project, right? These are the kind of answers that you would get. And this is where nobody kind of understands, or at least nobody talks about what value generation piece they contribute to, right? It's almost always I work in this particular department, or I'm now working on this particular project, writing or testing code and such things like that, right? So the general organization, right, or the general structure of the organization, if we were to really look at it, is something like this, right? We are talking about, yes, multiple pillars, and these pillars are usually organized around specific capabilities, possibly dev, test, security, compliance, operations, and stuff, right? So this is how one organization, the previous one was more like the org chart, but this is how you get to view the organization, right? So when the organizations are like this, and when you ask people, when they say I'm working on writing code or testing or a project, one of these projects and all that stuff, what are they referring to? Because this is how work is getting done, right? Every project has to cut across all these functional silos, right, before the value gets delivered to the end customer, right? So a typical software project starts with development, testing, right, security, compliance, operations, and all that stuff, and the value gets delivered to the customer, right? So when you're working like this, it actually I think who are the people that you need? We need those people whom we call as the project managers, right? Because it's absolutely important. Why? Because none of the people in any of these silos really understand what's going on, right? So everybody is so focused on their own components, right? They're doing their job and they're also focused on optimizing their components, right? You can there are people optimizing the development component, there are teams which are optimizing the test component, so on and so forth, right? But what does the customer need? Customer needs a value which flows through all these silos, right? So that's the reason why project managers were considered Superman or something equivalent. They were superheroes. Why? They actually had the power to push value from moving from each of these silos till it got into the hands of the customer, and each of these individual silos operating in isolations, right? Nobody really understood the end-to-end value that they were working on, or what was the trigger and how was it going to help the customers, right? So this is the reason why we had this particular concept of project managers to push this value through the stream, right? So this is what a traditional organization is going through, right? So if I were to go back to the general outlook of the organizations, the traditional org structure, right? When you're talking about what the customer needs or how the value is being delivered, right? This is how the organization could look like, right? You have people from one department working with few people in the other department who needs to work with a few other group of people from another department, right? And when they work together is when the customer finds the value, or first customer gets the value, right? So this, if you were to look at it from a safe terminology, this is what we call as the finding the kidney, right? Not that it's always going to be in the shape of a kidney, but it's just saying you really need to find which are the different groups, or which are the which people need to work together to deliver value to the customer, right? So this is what we were trying to visualize earlier, right? So there is a trigger, right, or a need or a want from the customer which needs to be met, right? So if the customer wants to buy a car, right, delivering the car to the customer is what we are going to talk about, the value stream, right? And in this particular value stream, you would need multiple teams working together so that the value gets created, right? So here you're talking about team of teams, right? So until and unless we move from the traditional functional silos to more of an approach of a team of teams, right, which is aligned with the value generation capability, right, we are still stuck with the traditional approach. And when we talked about value stream identification, this is what we mean by value stream identification, right? Understanding how the value flows, or the stream that you have to follow when you need to create value for the customer. So the moment so what happens now that you have understood which are the different teams that is working on, right? What happens, right? Now the focus starts shifting away from projects and the focus starts coming more towards the product, right? You're delivering value to the customer. The value can be delivered in the form of a product, right? So you're not worried about projects anymore, and then you start focusing on products, right? And why is products important? Because what is the customer buying? The customer is always buying products and not really the projects, right? And when you start focusing on products, right, the other aspect is products are long lived, projects are not, right? Projects are usually few months, right? And products are much longer in terms of their life, right? So now when you start focusing on products and not on projects, right, what happens now? You're creating, or it enables long-lived stable teams focused on delivering value rather than short-lived project teams focused on task completion, right? So this is where you're getting that shift that is coming through, right? We are not worried about our developers who's saying I've finished coding, or a tester saying I've logged defects. But we start talking in terms of product teams where they understand they are working together to deliver value for the customer, right? And in order to deliver value for the customer, they need to work together, right? And now, unlike projects, where at the end of the projects you kind of dismantle the teams, and then people are usually busy going into other projects which are possibly slated to start immediately. And in many cases, at least my experience so far has been, the one of the projects definitely gets delayed, and because the project is getting delayed, what happens? Another project is waiting for these people, right? When you start talking about multitasking, we know all the drills that we go through, right? Which kind of creates a lot more, if you're thinking in terms of the work in progress limits, everything goes out of sync, and we start compromising on quality. But right, but the moment you start focusing on products, it kind of helps you to arrive at. And whenever I'm saying product, right now I'm referring to mostly the value streams that we have identified so far, right? The solution that we are delivering is what I've been referring to more as a product, right? And the moment you have identified the value streams and then you start working focusing on that, fewer handoffs and delays, right? The moment you have fewer handoffs and delays, shorter lead times, right? And the moment you have shorter lead times, faster feedbacks, right? And since you're able to get faster feedbacks, the teams are right now focused on working with smaller batch sizes, right? The team now has the capability to start working on smaller batch sizes, right? So you do not have anybody who's wondering, now, is anybody in the teams idling? If yes, how do I make sure that we are planning in enough work for everybody to be busy, right? Which over a period of time ends up with the teams working on bigger batch sizes, right? So now when you're talking about teams working in this way, what are we focusing on? Customer and meaningful quality, right? Why? Because now we have a systemic view rather than just a siloed views, Right? We're not trying to optimize a component, right? So we really do not right now, since we have understood the value streams and the role that each teams or each member plays in that particular value stream, nobody's really bothered about thinking, how do I make the best component ever, right? Let's say going back to the Maruti example, right? If you were to look at it, what are we selling? We are selling the car, right? Now, if you go through the traditional, siloed based approach, and then you think about, let's say engine as one system, right? You're thinking about engine as the value, right? What will the engine team start doing? They will start optimizing the engine to the highest possible extent that they can, right? Now let's assume you're talking about, let's say, an Alto, right? Engine has been optimized to an extent that, let's assume, it can do let's say 100 kilometers per hour and still return you say 20 to 25 kilometer per liter, right? It sounds really amazing, right? Now you assemble that car, but no, the braking team, no, they haven't really caught up with the engine component, right? So the brakes that you still have is what we had initially created, which was supporting an Alto, which possibly goes up to say about 80 or 100, right? And since the speeds were much less compared to what the engine optimization has happened right now, right? It was good enough at that particular point in time, right? But now that the car has the capability to go faster, right? And the brakes have not really got caught up to the newer capabilities of the engine. What happens? Now the customers are buying a car which definitely has the capability to go really fast, provide you with better mileages, but unfortunately, the other components, they really didn't catch up with the engine, so you may not be able to stop it on time, right? So what happens? You keep optimizing one component, chances are you run into problems, more problems than the number of problems that you are trying to solve, right? So this is the reason why, the moment you have this value stream, right, once you have identified the value stream, it kind of gives you the systemic view which is really needed rather than just the siloed views. Yeah. So this comes up, and then no more subsystem or component level optimization. Yeah. And once you've started looking at everything from a value stream perspective, what are we achieving? We are achieving alignment of business and technology, right? This is tricky, right? Why? Because if we were to look at it, business enables technology, right? When the organization is doing well, the product is doing well, or the service is doing well, people are interested in what we are providing. That is when the technology also business is enabling technology. At the same time, technology can enable business too, right? So this could sound like a catch-22 situation, or the chicken and egg problem, right? But then the way you start looking at organizations as value streams, what happens? The business and technology is meeting in the value stream, right? Both business and technology meets in the value stream. Why? We understand what the market wants, right? We are building for what the business needs, and in order to deliver what the business needs, we are also thinking of we are also ramping up your technology side, and you can also focus on the technology side so that you are enabling more business. Why? The entire teams are focusing on value delivery, right? So this is exactly where, as we talk about from a safe perspective, right? What are we talking about? This is where you see the value streams, right? And safe is built on the on the premise that value stream is the primary construct for understanding, organizing, and delivering value in safe, right? This is where we start off with identifying the value streams, right? And how do we deliver value? This is where we use the agile release train, right? The team of teams that we spoke about. The team of teams is the agile release train here, right? So together, when you are looking at it, value stream and contributing to the value stream is where I've really found the safe. We are just looking at it from a simple construct perspective, but agile release train is your team of teams which is aligned towards your value streams, right? So value streams, does it mean all the development teams? So we'll have to take a look at it, right? let's try and understand, what are the different kinds of value streams. Yeah. So we picked up one of this example earlier, right? A business context where you're trying to provide a loan to a particular customer. Right? We went through this stuff, and then now we kind of understand how is it that the value is flowing. Right. So even though this is the value stream, how are the systems set up? Most probably, right, to attract customers, you have a system which is your channels, right? The channel sales and all that stuff. To be able to provide a quick rate quote and completing the loan application, you might have a loan originating system, right? Eligibility and underwriting goes under your credit scoring system, right? And every other aspect possibly is part of your core banking system, right? So what you're seeing right now here is what we call as the operational value stream, right? And in order to support this operational value stream, you can actually have what we call as the um, development value streams, right? Why? Because in order to build these systems, right, you again need people coming together, right? So here is an example where we are saying in order to build the channel sales, the loan system, or the credit scoring system, possibly we are talking about about 80 people in the US working on it, right? Between Atlanta and Redmond, we have about 230 people working in India, between offices in Bangalore and Delhi. And then possibly just for the credit scoring system, we have a team 30 people in Estonia who's working on this, right? But then what we are talking about here is we have identified the different people who needs to work together in order to develop the systems which supports your operational value streams, right? So what are the two kinds of value streams that we are talking about? The operational value stream that you saw on top, wherein it contains the steps and the people who deliver end user value using business solutions created by the development value streams, right? The ones that you saw at the bottom. We're talking about development value streams. We identified the people who need to develop the business solutions which are going to be used by the operational value streams, right? So two kinds of value streams, operational and the development value stream. And when you talk about development value streams, what are we talking about? People who can define, build, test, and release them, right? So this is where the distinction between operational value streams and the development value stream comes into picture. Yeah. And now, does that mean, now that we have identified the value streams, now everything is going to really work on? Probably not, right? We've just got into the first step. We just identified the value streams, right? So now, once the value stream has been visualized, right? So the different bottlenecks, like possibly the waiting time, the number of queues, all of those things starts becoming apparent, right? It starts becoming visible, right? You can really see, right, where are the queues coming in, where are the different bottlenecks that you are seeing, right? How many queues are getting formed where, right? So once these are apparent, or once this becomes visible, then you get into the concept of optimizing, right? You start optimizing the value streams. So optimize how? The first thing is you determine what is it that you're working towards, right? So from a traditional approach, we might have to rethink what is it that we need to achieve, right? So just to give you an example, right? All of us have heard of the Instagram story, right? So in 2015, right, which was, I think that was about 3 years after Facebook acquired Instagram, right? One of the primary focus that Instagram had in 2015 was the ability to move faster and to ship quickly, right? So this is what they really wanted to focus on. This is what they were working towards, right? So in 2015, they were about 115 engineers, right? And I think they kind of grew to about 400 plus engineers by 2017, right? Kind of quadrupled their size, and they actually became a lot faster, right? So in order to quadruple, even though they were increasing the size, how were they able to go faster? It is because they knew what they were working towards, and they were able to identify the acceptable trade-offs. You know, Instagram, in order to go faster, they realized no, they had to minimize dependency between the teams and the code base that they had. Right? That was the biggest bottleneck that they were facing. So what was the trade-off that they agreed to? They agreed saying, let's accept code duplication between teams, right? So that each of them can go faster. So in short, no, multiple teams could come up with similar code, so they are not dependent on each other, right? So this particular approach, no, I know even today is no quite unacceptable for many of the organizations, right? But then for Instagram, they were pretty clear. The value that we are looking at is about going ability to churn out things faster and start shipping it into the market faster so that the customer starts using the newer stuff that we need to provide them, right? So they knew what, so they rethought how they were doing it. And just because I say no duplication of code, no, please do not assume no, as part of their value stream identification, no, they moved away from an iOS team, an Android team, and no different teams like that, wherein no, they had their own search, right? They had a search for Android, they had a search for iOS, but they brought all the search together as one unit, right? But then no, there were plenty of other places where no, the code, no, because of the code dependency, they were not able to go faster. So they actually had to come up with a trade-off. So just because I said no, you identify the value streams, I'm not saying that it's all rosy from then on. It's not like no A against B. It's about identifying what's important, no, and then coming up with the trade-offs, and then figuring out what trade-off is it that you're going to go ahead with, right? So once you have identified the trade-off, then you again reorganize, right? So when you're talking about optimizing, three things that we can think about are rethink, reevaluate, and then reorganize, right? So today, if you were to look at Instagram, I'm told that there are about 5,200 plus employees and still going really, really fast. And how were they able to do it? They were able to do it by reorganizing themselves into fully autonomous teams, right? Which are able to churn out value quicker, right? So they identified their value streams and they were able to reorganize them, right? Identify the value stream and then move out of that particular situations, right? So this is how, this is where I think the importance of the value stream comes into picture. Yeah. So this is the point wherein I would like to ask you a question. There is value in value streams. Yeah, and I'm hoping you kind of have been able to help you rethink the way work is accomplished in organizations and where the value stream comes into picture. Yeah. So this is what I wanted to share with you guys today. Yeah. So no, I have Ashwini also who has joined us, right? And we have another 8 minutes more. So go ahead and you can ask any questions that you might have around the value streams. No questions?
Hey, hi Preet. This is Chitra here.
Hey, Chitra.
Hey, that was a very good session. Got lots of information.
Mhm.
I am new to this space, so I'm just learning stuffs. So I have one very basic question. So you mentioned about the Instagram, how they did the trade-off, and the trade-off was to generate the code duplication, right?
Uh-huh.
So I think I'm a little bit, I need some more insights in this because generally when you do form an autonomous groups, how did they manage the code integration, the integration testing and stuff when they had this duplication?
Okay. So, Chitra, I'm not privy to a lot of internal stuff, but then what I
Ah, okay.
also know is there is an HBR article
Mm-hmm.
around the growth in Instagram.
Right. So I
Mhm.
can, it is a published article which I
Yes,
can
it's a
search in
published
Google.
article. Yes, right.
Okay.
So I'm hoping you might get some more insights into how they do it. I'm not very sure, but that's worth a check.
I'll do that. I'll do that. Thank you.
Yeah.
Because currently, right,
Mhm.
what the challenges I think almost all the organizations and inclusive mine facing is we just go into the firefighting mode,
Mhm.
right? So I attribute a lot of that to unplanned the plans not being properly made.
Mhm.
So yeah, you're right. As people talk a lot about the value streams and stuffs like that, and that is what my organization is also doing.
Mhm.
But I'm not really getting that value stream concept when I work. So
Mhm.
maybe whatever you said, I'll try to implement that and see how it works.
Cool.
So yeah.
Sure. Thank you.
So yeah, more it was definitely more helpful.
Mhm.
Yeah, thanks for that because for a beginner like me, even basics helps a lot.
Sure.
Yeah,
Thank you, Chitra.
I look
Hi,
forward to your seminars or webinars.
Sure. Thank you.
Thank you.
hi, Preet. This is Karupaya here.
Hey.
Hi, Preet. One quick question. Can I?
s-
Hello.
I'm sorry. The your voice is
Low. Yeah.
low.
Okay. Are you able to hear me now? Is that
Yeah,
audible
it's
now?
better.
Yes.
Okay. Hi, Preet. This is Karupaya here. One quick
Ah.
question from Safe. As part of system PA system demo, teams compare planned value versus actual value, right?
Mhm.
So planned value is provided by uh, product owners, but which one is a customer looking for as a value, actual value or the planned value? Hello, are you able to hear me? Hello, hello, Preet.
Yes.
Yeah.
Preet, are you on? Sorry, I mean, if you can come again on the question, right? I can answer it too.
Okay, fine.
Yeah.
Sorry. As part of PA system demo,
Okay.
teams compare the business value, right? Planned versus
Yeah.
actuals.
Yeah. Yeah.
Planned
See,
value is been provided by product owners. So who
business.
provides the actual value? Is that the customer?
Both are provided by the business owners. Business value is provided by the business owners, and actual value also is provided by the business owners based on what they see in the demo, right? So both are provided by the business owners. They
So
are
at
your
what
key
point of
stakeholders.
time? No. At what point of time both is come into picture? Both are at the same time of the system demo.
No, no. See, planned value is when, or the business value is given when you are planning, right? It's PA planning, and you say, I'm committing to say these three objectives. Business owners give you a planned value based on their hypothesis, based on what they see from the market, from the potential perspective. And when you actually demo how much the actual user will get it out of it, they will give the actual value.
Okay. So this is what has been related to value stream also. This value can be taken up
No,
for.
no, no, not really. See, value stream is a concept to cash, like Preet mentioned, right? It's a concept to cash. You start when the customer start asking a solution or a product. It ends when the customer realizes the value. And these PI objectives or your features are the way to reach that value, right? So if you have a new initiative, feature is a one part of that, or a PI objective is one part of that. You can call it as a roadmap. I mean, the milestones that you will reach at the same time, right?
So it is one of the approach to get into value stream methodology, or value stream is one of the methodology to reach onto this. Vice versa. Which one you have to consider?
Value stream in a simple term is a user journey. So you go to a bank to get a loan, to the place when you will get a loan and the bank starts getting money from you. That's a value stream. Value stream is always a thinking tool and a concept. When you talk about a particular value delivered, it's a feature or a story or whatever it is, right? That's one part of it, right? So you are building that system or building that solution to provide value to the customer, right? So that's when what you are talking in terms of a PI objective is just one part of it. It's like there is a loan application available for you which you need to fill, right? That's one part of the overall value stream.
Okay.
Yeah.
So my understanding is value stream as a whole. In
Hmm.
that, P objectives are part of it. One of the component, each feature is that, like that. You mean to say?
Yes, you can think that way. Yeah.
Great. Thanks for helping me to understand the inner part of. Excellent. Thanks.
Again, I would highly recommend Project to Product book from Mickiston to really understand the all of value stream, DevOps, flow, right? I mean, all those concepts. It's an awesome book, simple to read and understand and digest. Also, not written in a very technical language, so to say.
Sorry,
Thank you.
could you please write that in the chat window
Yeah,
so that we
I'm
can make a note of that?
going to write it.
Yeah, thank you.
Talk to me for another 5 minutes. I will tell another 3 books. Yeah. Sorry, Nick Kiston, not Mid. Yeah. Awesome.
Okay. So, any other questions at this point?
Hi, am I audible?
Yes.
Yes, Shweta.
Yeah, hi. Is value stream mapping only synonymous to, safe, or have you, is it also a essential part of the other scale frameworks?
Um, Value stream is definitely not restricted only to safe,
Mm-hmm.
right? So value stream, no, as we were just, this is a concept which kind of helps you visualize, right? Saying, from the time a customer comes to you, right, it tells you his requirements till a time that you're able to deliver it to the customer, and then you get the cash in hand.
All
Right?
right.
So that's the visualization. Now, can it be applied in other scaling frameworks? Of course, yes. Right. But the fact that no, the safe actually starts off saying the first step, because everything that we are trying to achieve when you're moving to a safe starts off by first identifying the value stream, and then
Mhm.
you're talking about the entire reorg based on the value streams. Right?
All right.
So it's kind
Thank you.
of prominent and safe. Yeah. Right. Cool.
Hi, Preet. This is Alok here. So when related to that question, I hope you are able to hear me, right?
Yep.
Yeah. So value stream mapping, as was asked, like it is a part of safe, or we are using in normal agile practice. So I
Mhm.
believe this value stream mapping is, as far as I have been using, it is also a process of eliminating non-value value add thing, like which is not going to be add much value
Mhm.
to the business. So it basically gives us a better cycle time, and it improves the quality of the product as well. uh,
Mhm.
is this right what I'm talking?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Right. So you identify value first so that you can identify what is not really, what we call as
Non-value,
waste, or
exactly, yeah,
what is not really adding value to the
true,
entire thing.
yes.
So this kind
And
of helps you visualize those bottlenecks, or no, those non-value added things that we are doing, which could be as simple as a wait time, right? And then try and helps us to reduce, by reducing handoffs and all that stuff. It kind of helps you in improving the value flow.
Thank you.
Okay. So now it's another question which says, what is the difference between customer journey map and value stream? Ashwini, do
yeah,
you want to take that?
yeah. So see, customer journey is an operational value stream, in fact, right? I mean, if you take it as a whole, right? Because many a times it's the customer's journey that we care for. When you say concept to cash, Customer journey is a operational value stream. It is a one-to-one mapping as such, right? And in SAFE, I mean, we also talk about the development value stream where I mean, we actually develop and deliver the systems. That's a separate topic of discussion as such. But whatever Preet talked about today, right? I mean, and what you see on the picture as of now also is a customer journey depicted. That's an operational value stream. That's what the customer sees as a value. Trigger is a customer. Trigger starts with the customer. It ends with profit to the customer and to the organization. Again, value stream identification and then mapping to avoid and eliminate waste. Both are lean concepts. They have been there from like say 70 years or so, right? SAFe uses it in a very prominent way to make sure that we are organizing ourselves around the value. Many frameworks, I mean, just leave apart that part and allows you to decide how do you want to do it. SAFe kind of gives you a guideline through the value stream identification and then mapping to eliminate wastes.
Okay. So I think I don't see any other questions on the chat. So, okay. Okay, sure. Thank you so much then. No, we are going to come up in the next 2 weeks with our next session on the next session of the Safe Thursday. And the next session, now that you understood business agility and the value streams, I think it's time to get into PI planning, right? So the next session topic is going to be around PI planning, right? Next session, we are again trying to see how is it that together we come up with various aspects and see how can we do PI planning, right? So we will kind of do a PI planning in about an hour's time in the next session of Safe Thursdays. Yeah. So stay tuned. You definitely are going to get intimated about more details about how we plan to do the next Safe Thursday. The timing is definitely going to remain the same. It's about 7:30 to 8:30 p.m. India time, right? Yeah. And the topic is going to be PI planning. Yeah. So look forward to seeing you guys in the next session again, right? Yeah. Till then, thank you very much.
Sorry to cut you, Preet. I mean, it's on second and the fourth Thursday. So that's easy to remember. So dates, I mean, we are not following the dates. We are following second and fourth Thursday of every month. So it will be 11th February is the next session.
Next session, yeah. Yep. So thank you and look forward to seeing you guys again.
Thank you, Preet.
Thanks a lot.
Thank you, Preet.
Thank you.
Thank you, Preet. Thank you,
Yeah.
Ashwin.
Thank you, Preet. Thanks, Ashwin. Thank you.
Good night. Bye.
Good night, guys.
Good night. See you guys.